everyone, it's great to see you again at the 8th day of Lunar New Year with the Disney 3D Art channel. In today's video it will be the character Mabel Pines from the series Gravity Falls. Mabel Pines is one of the two main protagonists of the animated series Gravity Falls. She is the older twin sister of Dipper Pines, who is 5 minutes younger than her, and the great-grandniece of Stanley and Stanford Pines. Energetic, bouncy, and optimistic, Mabel makes the best of every situation. A lover of arts, crafts, and animals, Mabel is a hyperactive 12-year-old, later 13 by the end of the series, girl and her brother's closest ally. She is best friends with Candy Chew and Grenda Grendinator. Mabel was born 5 minutes before her twin Dipper, and the two were raised together in Piedmont, California. Mabel has shared many events with her brother Dipper, being implied to be each other's sole friend back in Piedmont, where they attended Egbert Elementary School. Mabel claims to have been a gifted arts and crafts master since the age of 2, and won a mini golf tournament when she was 9. At an unknown period, she started a scrapbook where she recorded her memories in that she took with her to Gravity Falls, Oregon for the summer break. Currently, she and Dipper attend Piedmont Middle School. Mabel Pines is buoyant, cheerful, bouncy, goofy, optimistic, energetic, and full of spirit. An optimist who skips through life with a braces-filled smile and an assortment of extremely colorful knit sweaters. It is her outgoing personality and fearless curiosity that comes in handy when Dipper needs help solving a mystery, even if she isn't always aware of her silliness. Despite her cheerful attitude and her ability to be able to look on the bright side, she can get brought down by others, such as by her rival, later friend, Pacifica Northwest. Mabel also has her moments of self-centered behavior, which can cause issues, but she learns from her mistakes and grows from them. Such as at the end of Weirdmageddon Part 2 Escape from Reality, when she accepts the fact that growing up is inevitable but that there will always be people around her to help her out. She abhors lying and is a terrible liar herself, often blurting out whatever it is about which she is trying to lie. She lives in a world of preteen novels, mostly about vampires, and her fixation on finding her one true love occasionally lands her in sticky situations which ultimately require her brother's help. Still, despite all the weirdness in Gravity Falls, Mabel is always a glass-half-full kind of girl. She is rarely angry or upset and generally keeps a positive outlook. She is somewhat naive at times. Mabel is aware of and cherishes her cuteness. Mabel claims to be an arts and crafts master, which is supported by the skills she's shown so far, including knitting, as she knits her own sweaters, scrapbooking, wax sculpting, as seen in Headhunters when she makes a realistic wax figure of Grunkle Stan in a short amount of time, and very good at folding paper, as seen in Irrational Treasure when she makes a hat out of an old piece of paper in a few seconds. Mabel is also skilled in animal calls. She never misses a scrapbook opportunity, which is the opportunity to scrapbook. She is also very good at miniature golf, as she won a title when she was 9 years old. Sometime during the month of June, Mabel and her twin brother, Dipper Pines, were sent from Piedmont, California to the small town of Gravity Falls, Oregon to visit their great-uncle Stan Pines. Mabel decides to make the best of the situation, believing that it is her chance to have an epic summer romance. She shows her boy crazy obsession when she agrees to date a very mysterious creature, Norman, who is disguising himself as a teenage boy. But little does she know that he is actually a group of gnomes, led by Jeff, posing as a teenage boy. Jeff and the gnomes try to kidnap her because she refuses. But Dipper rescues Mabel and brings her back to the shack on a golf cart. Mabel then defeats Jeff and the gnomes using a leaf blower. Stan allows them to take anything from the mystery shack for free. and Mabel decides on a grappling hook. Though it is not specified when this happened, Mabel and Dipper help Stan make counterfeit money. From the context, it's implied that they got arrested and spent some time in a cold jail cell. On a second attempt to create family bonds, Mabel gets in Stan's car blindfolded and Grunkle Stan drives them to a place where she is supposed to go fishing with him and Dipper as a family bonding day. When she hears that there is a monster in the lake named the Gobblewonker, she and Dipper want to go find it and get the proof after hearing about a contest if they find proof of a mythical creature. Mabel wants to discover it so she can buy a giant hamster ball to roll around in. They ditch Grunkle Stan and go with Soos to find the monster. In the end, the Gobblewonker turns out to just be an old man looking for attention. Feeling bad, Mabel and Dipper soon go back to Grunkle Stan to have their family bonding day. When Mabel and Dipper discover Grunkle Stan's old wax figure museum, Mabel creates her own wax statue of Grunkle Stan to make up for a melted Abe Lincoln wax figure. When the opening ceremony turns sour and Wax Stan is found decapitated in the middle of the night, Mabel and Dipper search for the murderer. Failing to do so, they attend Wax Stan's funeral, attended by Soos and the other wax figures, only to realize the murderer wasn't a human at all. They fight off all the murderous wax figures using decorative candles. Mabel throws their remains in the fire while Dipper deals with Wax Sherlock Holmes. Mabel later learns of an alleged psychic in town named Lil Gideon, and goes to one of his shows alongside Dipper and Soos. The following day, she is greeted by Gideon and the two spend time together, ultimately leading to the boy asking her on a date, which she reluctantly agrees to do. After the first outing, however, Gideon incessantly invites her on more dates, and Mabel, driven by peer pressure and not knowing how to reject his offers, complies. Eventually, Dipper volunteers to end the relationship with Gideon for her, causing his sister great joy. When he carries out his promise, Gideon is enraged to the point of attempting to murder him, though he is saved when Mabel intervenes, breaks up with Gideon herself and destroys Gideon's amulet. Back at the Mystery Shack, the Pines talk about their days with their new enemy and mock him, while Gideon plots his revenge on them. When Mabel goes to the Dusk to Dawn with her brother Dipper, Wendy and friends, she stumbles upon a banned candy called Smile Dip. She eats about half of the shelf, or Blevantine as she puts it then, and begins to hallucinate, for example, a fantasy of riding on a flying dolphin with fists saying, "The future is in the past." Onwards. Aoshima. Soon the store is taken over by ghosts and Ma and Pa possesses Mabel to communicate with the teenagers. Afterward, Mabel becomes sick to her stomach and calls the Smile Dip evil. Mabel immediately notices that Grunkle Stan has a thing for Lazy Susan, the waitress at Greasy's diner. So Mabel works some of her awesome Mabel magic and decides that she should be the one to help Grunkle Stan become more attractive and appealing to Lazy Susan. After having Soos pretend to be Lazy Susan, and Grunkle Stan spitting on the ground asking if she has any money, she decides to try a different approach to it. By bringing that inner beauty to the outside, the end product looks worse than the original, and Mabel finally gives up, until Wendy says that Stan is unfixable. Just like the spinny pie thingy in the diner, Mabel has a sudden brainstorm. She marches Grunkle Stan down to the diner to see Lazy Susan. She ends up giving him her number, and Mabel is overjoyed. When the Mystery Shack hosts a party, Mabel begs Grunkle Stan to let her mingle with other kids. He eventually says yes, and gives her work spot to Dipper. She then meets Grenda and Candy Chew, who soon become her friends. They tell her about Pacifica Northwest, the most popular girl in Gravity Falls. They soon become enemies and compete in a competition to see who could party hardy the most, engaging in activities like singing and dancing. Though Mabel initially receives the audience's vote, Pacifica intimidates the party-goers to cheer for her and bribes Old Man McGucket. Unlike the other guests, who go off to Pacifica's after-party, Candy and Grenda stay at the shack and have a sleepover with their new friend. Later on Pioneer Day, she runs into Pacifica again. Pacifica says Mabel is too silly and not serious. This makes Mabel angry and embarrassed, so she goes with Dipper to find the true founder of Gravity Falls, knowing that conspiracies are serious. After going through many hard puzzles, Mabel cracks them all using her silliness, like folding the secret map into a hat, looking at a painting upside down, and making a statue pick her nose. After finding the real founder, Quentin Tremblay, they also find out that he was once the president. To their surprise, the sheriff and deputy find them and send them, along with Tremblay's body, to Washington, D.C. on the way there. They free Tremblay and find out that he survived by encasing himself in peanut brittle. They free themselves and eventually return back to Gravity Falls. Mabel no longer wants to prove Pacifica wrong. But this does not stop Dipper, and he tells Pacifica that her ancestor is a fraud. When the mystery fair comes around, Mabel wins a pig at the fair, who she names Waddles. Later on, she and Dipper find a mysterious man from the future with a time travel device. Mabel wants to go back in time to remember her greatest moment in life, adopting Waddles, which she does again and again once they have the device, while Dipper keeps on going back to stop Robbie from dating Wendy. Eventually Mabel helps Dipper succeed. But this leads to Mabel not winning Waddles. They get in a huge fight and end up going through time, to the 1800s, the Jurassic period, the future, the Mystery Shack about 20 years ago, as well as to parts of the previous episodes, Tourist Trapped, The Legend of the Gobblewonker, and Headhunters. They finally end up in the timeline where Mabel doesn't have Waddles. She gives up and becomes miserable. Dipper gives in and reverses the timeline so she can have Waddles. On the hottest day of the summer, Mabel meets a merman by the name of Mermando, who is trapped at the Gravity Falls pool. She is immediately stricken by his good looks and mysterious allure and tries hard to get to know him. Upon finding out he's trapped, she devises a plan to free him. The first of which involved building prosthetic legs out of fish sticks, which she abandoned in favor of a less nonsensical idea of smuggling him in the pool's water cooler and driving to the Lake Gravity Falls with the mystery cart. Dipper initially tries to stop her after following her in a high-speed race to the lake, but helps her out when he finds out about Mermando. Mermando nearly suffocates without water, but Mabel convinces Dipper to give him reverse CPR. After he is saved, Mermando gives Mabel her first kiss before saying goodbye. Later, forlorn, Mabel at the pool receives several messages in bottles from him. When the twins grow extremely regretful about sharing a room, they find another within the shack. Since both want it, they decide to compete for the key to it, but unexpectedly swap bodies by electron carpet in the process and panic as a result. Mabel, being stuck in Dipper's body, began a campaign to make Dipper look bad to Grunkle Stan. Most of this campaign consisted of having fun breaking stuff and proclaiming she was Dipper. Mabel missed out on a sleepover scheduled that very night with Candy and Grenda to Dipper with her body. As a result of age-inappropriate werewolf romance novels, Grunkle Stan believes Dipper, though actually Mabel, to be at that creepy age where you spy on girls, and decides to tell him about the birds and the bees. After being traumatized by this, Mabel loses the room to Dipper due to giving the impression that Dipper had decided to stand up to Stan. She continues to hide the key to the room from Dipper, however, and locks herself in the room. However, she is tricked into opening the door by Dipper. After this, she swaps bodies multiple times with multiple people, including Waddles, due mostly to conflict over the key to the room. After everybody is back in their own body and they talk it over, Mabel agrees to let Dipper have the room. The two eventually bond over attic minigolf after they decide they miss being in the same room, and share a room in the attic again. Mabel is incredibly excited to go see a concert with her friends Candy and Grenda for a boy band that they are all obsessed with, several times. All of them are very eager to see the concert. But when they get there, they find out that it has been sold out. Mabel is still determined to meet the band, and sneaks into the backstage room with her friends to see them. They discover that the boy band is made up of clones, who are being held captive in a cage by their cruel producer. Mabel and her friends bust them out and take them to the shack, where they keep them inside because their producer is looking for them. Mabel and her friends attempt to teach the band to behave like normal people. And during this process Mabel becomes extremely possessive of the band. When she and her friends learn of their producer's arrest, Mabel doesn't want to let the band go, and tells them to kick her friends out. Eventually, after the band plays a song they wrote for her, she comes to her senses and decides to be a good person and let the boys go. She and her friends make up and send the boys off into the woods. When Mabel decides to get Waddles a present, she reluctantly leaves the pig with Grunkle Stan. When she returns, she learns that a pterodactyl has made off with Waddles. She then leads the others in getting Waddles back. When Gideon sends Bill Cipher into Stan's mind to get the combination to the safe containing the deed to the Mystery Shack, Mabel, Dipper and Seuss follow him. They are eventually able to repulse the demon, but on returning, they discover Gideon used dynamite to open the safe. With the deed in hand, Gideon forces them all out of the shack and has his father demolish it with a wrecking ball. Forced to live at Seuss' grandmother's house, the Pines watch a television report about Gideon and his plans to rebuild the Mystery Shack as Gideon Land. They go to the unveiling in an attempt to unmask Gideon to the town, but no one believes them. Soon after, Stan decides to send Mabel and Dipper back to their parents. Instead, they attempt to break into the shack, enlisting the help of the gnomes to do so. However, Gideon turns the gnomes against them and takes Dipper's book. As the twins are on the bus back home, they see Gideon's Gideon bot coming after Stan. They try to stop Gideon, but he takes Mabel for his queen. Dipper gets inside the robot and fights Gideon, causing the robot to drop over a cliff. Mabel saves herself and Dipper with her grappling hook. Gideon attempts to have the twins arrested, but Stan reveals that Gideon has been spying on everyone, causing Gideon to be the one arrested and the deed to be returned to Stan. The Pines family then return to the Mystery Shack. In Blendon's game, after finding out that it was Seuss' birthday, she, Dipper, Candy and Grenda throw him a surprise birthday party. However, they don't get the reaction they were hoping for and Seuss goes away depressed. Wendy then tells them how Seuss dislikes his birthday though she doesn't know why. So instead of trying to bring up anything to do with a birthday, they bring Seuss to his favorite place, Big Gun's laser tag. While running to the laser tag arena, they suddenly slip into a completely white room through a portal. They then meet Lolf and Dundgren of the Time Paradox Avoidance Enforcement Squadron. Surprisingly enough, Blendon appears before the twins too, stating that he challenges them to Globnar, where he hopes to win the time wish to rid of their existence. Mabel uses a distraction idea, giving Dipper the chance to steal the time measuring tape, and the two accidentally go 10 years back to the past with the time measuring tape breaking. While trying to avoid the enemies tracking them, they head to the Mystery Shack where they meet 12-year-old Seuss. Following him to his party, they find out why Seuss dislikes his birthday so much. They willingly let themselves be caught in order to win the time wish and give Seuss his deepest desire. After many challenges in the game, she and Dipper come out on top and letting Blendon go free because they felt guilty for getting him in trouble. Going back to the present, they tell Seuss about where they've been and gives him the time wish. Ultimately, Seuss doesn't use the wish for his father and gets over him, using the wish for better matters, and embracing Dipper and her as true family. First is to draw the body, then wearing an pink coat outfit with the rainbow star and a skirt for Mabel Pines. Next is to draw 2 legs and then draw 2 arms for Mabel Pines. Next is to draw the head, then color the brown hair and make the face for Mabel Pines. Finally attach 2 ears, then wear the pink headband, attach the eyelash for Mabel Pines. Don't forget to draw the hairstyle. So the character Mabel Pines from the series Gravity Falls has been completed. If you like this video tutorial, please like and subscribe button to receive the new notify. At the same time, Download the app and go to the website DisneyStore to shopping online, as well as Disney Plus to watch some movies and TV shows for free, used by many peoples of the world. Thank you everyone and see you soon.